GameCola faithful, and welcome to the GameCola Podcast. This is podcast number 190, and the path to get here was quite windy. I am your host and podcast commander, Joseph Martin, joined by...
Hi, I'm Anna Bryniarski, and I would never once play a video game while podcasting.
I'm Blu Ryder, and I'm not doing a whole lot right now. Thanks for asking.
I'm James Pelster, and I was going to do a joke that followed the intro bit, but now I've decided to give up.
What are you, John?
Yeah, wait a minute. You've stolen John's bit of not doing a bit. You have to do a bit, James.
All right. Well, all right. Then I'm sidewinding James, because the path was windy.
Podcast number 100 and sidewindy? Mm-hmm. Is there anything there?
Yeah.
You'll have to try. James, you'll just have to try in another 100 podcasts at 290.
Welcome
all the other
James's
ones you only have to wait
turvy.
a year, but for this one you'll have to wait 8-point-something years to give it another shot at 90.
Oh, man.
That's why the zero numbered decimal digit, that's not what you call it, but you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. The ones place, when it's a zero, mm-hmm. Those are like the special cases, because those only come once every 8 plus something years.
Something like that, yeah. I think that's how math works.
Yeah.
So today on the GameCola Podcast, we'll be talking about math.
No, we're talking, sort of like math. One part of the GameCola Podcast topic for today is lines, which is so math adjacent. There's lines in math. But there's also main. The term main line, when applied to various forms of media, but because this is the GameCola Podcast, your video game news and discussion podcast, we're talking about mainline video games. Video games that are part of the quote-unquote mainline series, which is a term that I have heard multiple times in different contexts, different unrelated contexts, brought up when talking about larger series of video games. I'm talking your Sonic the Hedgehogs. I'm talking your Pocket Mans. I'm talking your Mario Jumpman Marios. I'm sure there are others, but those are the what I saw them happen in people yelling on Twitter and Blue Sky about what Pokemon games are mainline and whether the Legends games are mainline, and then lots of people talking about here's all of the Sonic things, but I'm only doing the mainline Sonic games, and everybody has a different list of what that is. It's an interesting question. What makes a video game mainline? Or rather, I would say to you, what do you consider when you're deciding whether or not a video game is part of its mainline series, and does that term even mean anything to you?
I think it's very heavily vibes-based, if I'm totally honest.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's not consistent between series necessarily, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
right.
I 100% agree. For one thing, in Pokemon, I think one of the key attributes of determining whether a game should be considered mainline is, do they add Pokemon or Pokemon forms that persist throughout the rest of the series?
Well...
Right? That is probably one of the biggest cases for Legends Arceus specifically.
But
and I would have bet Z-A as well, because I'm going to guess that they're going to add new Mega Evolutions that will also persist. Whereas Legends Arceus added new regional forms, and new Pokemon too, evolutions of regional evolutions, I guess is what they're called. I don't know, but there are new Pokemon.
It's not just that though, right? It's not just that characteristic that qualifies it though, because if it was, then some of the remakes like Fire Red and the Heart Gold Soul Silver would actually not be considered mainline.
Right. Well, and also you'd have to include Pokemon Ranger Shadows of Almia due to its introduction of the Pokemon Manaphy.
Well, but
because
does it
that was the original
Pokemon,
way that
because it's in the Pokédex for Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum
already.
Sure.
I think that doesn't count, because that's how you acquire it, it's an event, but it's not it's not the introduction of it to that unit.
It
It's
first had the capability
importantly
of existing in a game that came out before it could exist.
Just because it was in the code, like, it came from... Like, if you couldn't hack video games to figure out what was in that slot, you wouldn't know what it was.
Okay, well, is
like
Pokemon Go a mainline game? Because Melmetal was introduced.
This is my point, that it's not the only... you can't use it as a primary criteria. I'm just saying that, like, we agree that it doesn't work as a primary criteria, but we're disagreeing on whether or not this Pokemon Ranger game exists as a counterexample to justify why it is not a primary criteria, which is a pretty, like, minuscule point to be making here. But you're right, like, some of the early remakes did not count. I would even think that you could potentially argue that the original remakes were part of not like the mainline series, but, like, once you get to Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, which introduced new Mega Pokemon, then it feels like, okay, these are, like, the same thing. The other thing is, well, Pokemon says so, and that's the other big one, is, like, word of mouth. Not word of mouth. Wrong idiom. Word of God, I think, is the TV tropes term for this, where it's just like, well, it's what the people in charge of it said. But I also don't think that can count as an exclusive criteria, mainly because different people who are quote-unquote in charge can disagree. And also, I think it changes over time. Like, I don't know if you guys remember a little video game called Sonic the Hedgehog 4.
No, I don't remember that at all.
I didn't get around to play.
They stopped making Sonic games after Sonic 3 and Knuckles, I'm pretty sure.
Well, back in the late 2000s, when episodic video games were all the rage, we got Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Episode 1 and Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Episode 2.
When did we get those?
So it was a TV show.
I think they were WiiWare.
But they were episodes.
They were not TV shows. They were, like...
I don't understand. Why are we calling it episodes, then?
James, do you not remember this period? Like, this was, like, Telltale's whole bread and butter.
This is a bit.
Right. But, like, I'm trying to interrogate even, like, within the bit, how this person could exist.
Yeah, this person could exist because it was so bad that they blocked out all memory of it.
But yeah, they tried, and I bet if you had asked Sega and Sonic Team at the time, is Sonic the Hedgehog 4 a mainline Sonic game? They would have said, yes, it is a continuation from Sonic 3. But now, in the intro to Sonic Mania, they go up a little elevator, and it goes 1, 2, 3, Knuckles Mania in the elevator. 4 conspicuously absent.
So we have a numbered entry in the series that is not mainline, and that is beautiful. And
in at least a video that I saw of what I think is, I don't know if it's one example or if it's a particular example of, like, a Sonic orchestra tour. They start off playing music from Sonic 1, then music from Sonic 2, then music from Sonic 3 and Knuckles, and then music from Sonic Mania. And I did not see anything from Sonic 4 in there. So, like, Sonic 4 is definitely not mainline anymore, but was it when it came out? Can a game become un-mainline?
Yes. Definitely.
The Blue has answered the question.
Thanks, Blue.
We're
good
What
here.
would we do without you?
Mm-hmm.
I would also would like to bring up the example presented by one person on the GameCola Discord. I'm going to get the user. I want to make sure I get the username exactly right. Sir Black 49. Oh, we got more on this, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Bringing up Sonic 06, which I think gives a couple things. One thing is that in the video game, they do the, like, timeline reset. This is sort of a spoiler for a very old video game, but I think if you would be like, why have no plot elements from Sonic 06 persisted? That's because they decided that it didn't exist anymore in the video game.
Which is just like...
But also, like, there are lots of things from Sonic 06 that have persisted throughout the series since, even though it's kind of been brushed under the rug in a lot of ways, swept under the rug, I think is usually how they say that. Like, obviously the big one is Silver the Hedgehog, who's stuck around. But then also in the video game, there's a motif introduced for Eggman. This da 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 that is introduced in this video game and continue. I don't know if it's still used as much, but it was used for several games past that as well.
Oh, interesting.
I know definitely in Sonic Unleashed it was used. And then it was also in Sonic Generations, which is a whole other thing of like when they create either games that are like compilations, like the Mega Man Legacy Collection, or games like Sonic Generations, where they're like, we brought back a level from every single main Sonic game. They don't say it like that, but like that's kind of the impression you get when you play it. So there's cases where this like extently matters beyond just like whinging on the internet about whether or not you think a video game is important enough to be included on an arbitrary list.
And also, it's important to say, like we were talking about the sort of timeline reset that occurs in Sonic 06. Does an in-universe timeline even matter for considering a game mainline? Like, one could argue that, for example, like the Mario series, that there isn't like necessarily, the games don't chain one into the other. They don't have a set order that they occur in, aside from like release order, or a couple of games where like, and then it's weird because then you have like Mario Galaxy and Mario Galaxy 2, which are like, Mario Galaxy 2 is sort of more of a retelling of Galaxy 1, and like it's really weird. And I feel like that even a game's timeline within the game, or between that overarches between the games, is not necessarily something that needs to be important to determining whether a game is mainline or not.
Yeah, I mean, just look at Zelda.
That is a good question, actually. Are like, because they don't have every single Zelda game ever made for the timelines. Like for like, I mean, obviously, actually, that is a really interesting question. Does that Zelda timeline that Nintendo published, what was it, 10 years ago? More? Did that timeline have all of the Zelda games officially released up to that point on it? Or was it only a subset of them? And could that, in theory, be what, again, we were saying, like, the word of God, quote unquote, from the company? It's like, is that what Nintendo considers to be the mainline Zelda games? If it's including them in this timeline document, that it cares about tying them all together?
Definitely doesn't have every game, because I don't think they have Tingle's Balloon Party or whatever it's called.
Oh gosh, that's right. I that's too bad. I really want to know where that falls on the Zelda time.
I need to know. I have a question about how we feel about trying to put a label on Mario games as far as mainline goes. Because for me, it's always been just, like, imagine you just pick them all up and hand them to somebody, and it's like, this is Mario games, and that's it. No discussion of mainline or non-mainline games. It's just like, these are a Mario. And then you walk away.
Is that's your take? That's what you feel like?
At least for the Mario games, yeah.
Well, okay,
I feel like
is Mario
Pokemon
Kart
can be kind of similar?
Is Mario Kart a Mario game?
Yes.
What about Mario Pinball Land?
Yes.
What about Super Smash Brothers?
That is different.
Just because doesn't have Mario's name in it?
It's different because it is it is easier for it to be like, this is a series of games.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's not really a non-mainline Smash, is there?
I think your best case would be Smash for 3DS.
No.
I don't know if every franchise has a mainline.
This is also true. Or I would say every franchise has a mainline. It just may not have anything else outside of it, especially if it's 2 video games or 1 video game. But if there's only one video game, then you know it's mainline.
No, I think, like, Mario Party, does it have mainline games and non-mainline games? Or does it just have games and...
I could make, I think, a pretty compelling argument that there's a mainline Mario Party that's made up primarily, but not exclusively, of the numbered entries.
I think, like...
There's Mario Party
there's
spin-offs.
The DS version, and...
DS, there's the...
about it. I don't remember.
The minigame compilation ones.
Oh, yeah, like the top 100 but I don't or whatever it is.
Know if... I think those can be non-mainline without it creating the rest of them being mainline.
I feel like... No, I still... Like, I think that is an argument you can make. I just think, like, you can still make a compelling argument the other way. I mean, like, at the end of the day, it's really personal interpretation. And, like, I don't know if in that 100 Mario Party, like, collection that I don't remember the exact title, but it was, like, it included a bunch of mini games from other games. Did it include ones from the DS or the Game Boy? I think there was a Game Boy Advance Mario Party, too. Did it include mini games from that? Or was it all from Mario Party 2 and 3, everybody's nostalgia favorites? Okay, and I've got another one for you. Super Mario Land 3 Wario Land.
That is a
where
Wario
you play as Wario, but it's part of the same series as Super Mario Land 1 and 2.
It's a Wario game.
Okay. So it's not a Mario game.
Which is in the realm of a Mario game, but it stars Wario.
Yeah. Even though it is
Wario has his
even though it is called the game that follows Super Mario Land 2.
Yeah.
Is Super Mario Land 2 a Mario game because you play as Mario?
Yes.
This is not a gotcha, by the way. This is a curious exploration, not a, like, I'm going to trick Anna into admitting a contradiction. Which I feel like maybe is what this sounds like. Okay. What about New Super Luigi U?
Is that a
Mario game?
It's a Luigi game.
It's not a Luigi game?
It's a Mario game. So the only reason I am differentiating the Wario game is because Wario has the, oh my god, what are they called?
There's Wario Land.
Not Wario Land, what's the other one?
WarioWare.
WarioWare, thank you. That's the only reason I'm really differentiating
WarioWare is just a mainline Mario game?
And also, why isn't New Super Luigi U separate? Because Luigi has Luigi's Mansion.
Because he doesn't have enough games for me to go yet.
What about Yoshi's Island?
Yoshi's Island I would consider a Mario.
What about Yoshi's Island DS?
You know what?
Well, that's a Waluigi game.
I would... I would also consider it a Mario.
What about Yoshi Topsy Turvy?
I don't know what that is.
Okay, what about Yoshi's Story?
That's a book.
That's a book, actually.
Well, then Mario 2 is a dream, and Mario 3 is a stage play. But...
No, Mario 2. Wait, no, I was gonna say Mario 2 is a choose your Mario 2 is a choose your own adventure book.
And also,
I have the Mario 2 Choose Your Own Adventure book. It's like Super Mario Advance something or
other. What about the Pringles Adventure, Anna? Is that a mainline Mario game?
Yeah. Why wouldn't it be?
Specifically the GameCola playthrough of
it
Mario's
deserves
Pringles
to be
Adventure.
Yeah. It deserves to be one.
That's a game. I don't... Next question.
So so the Mario question has been explored very thoroughly. There's a couple videos by one Jan Miseli who's done who has more subscribers than we do, and so can just poll a bunch of people and ask them what they think about Mario games and their mainlinedness.
I think I'm actually the only person whose opinion matters about Mario games.
Oh, we should tell everybody. Anna's list is the list of mainline Mario games.
Yeah.
It sounded like you also had some opinions about Pokemon on this.
Oh, yeah, no, I have the same kind of opinion on Pokemon. I don't play either Mario games or Pokemon games enough to really have much of an opinion on, like, mainline or non-mainline. And that's why it all seems kind of like, here is game from series.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just go, okay, bye.
I mean, but to me, it feels like there's a very significant difference between Pokemon Platinum and Pokemon Mystery Dungeon.
Yeah.
Blue Rescue Team.
Yeah. No, there is. I agree. It's still just like I said, that's not a game I would have thought of, is
right.
Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, because I've never played it.
Mm-hmm.
And my only real experience with it was that one fanfiction.
Which is, I mean, pretty accurate. Pretty accurate.
But,
I think you got the gist. Shadow the Hedgehog featuring prominently.
But, yeah, it's, like I said, like, I can't really think of non-mainline games for Pokemon, but if you put a game that is not considered mainline in front of me and it has Pokemon in it, I'll go, yeah, that's Pokemon. That's a Pokemon game. And then
is there
not really think about it.
What would you say is, like, the biggest, not in terms of, like, popularity, but in terms of, like, amount of games, series that you're a fan of, that you feel like you maybe could more directly answer mainline questions about? Or if you just have one in mind.
Well, I literally right now have the Elder Scrolls games pulled up because I was thinking about it, because I just watched a 3-hour video on the Redguard game that came out in 1998. Because that's not a mainline game at all. I really only have experience playing Oblivion and Skyrim, but I think I have enough knowledge, because until fairly recently I had a 2-hour commute to and from work and had plenty of time to listen to lore videos. But
so what do you think makes a mainline Elder Scrolls game then?
So that one is easier in the way that they, like, go and number them.
Mm-hmm. But we've established that, like, a lot of things where you think it would be simple numbers, sometimes the numbers...
True.
I mean, is there a Sonic the Hedgehog 4 of the Elder Scrolls?
No.
Probably not as directly, no, because I think they've kept the numbering convention, whereas after Sonic the Hedgehog 4, they gave up on numbering them.
Yeah, because, like, so I can name, at least out of the ones that I've seen, the non-mainline games, being Redguard, Castles, which is a phone game, and is not much of a game. I'm gonna be honest. I did spend a lot of money on it, though.
I can't believe that Anna Bryniarski is a phone game discriminator.
I would never. I'm just saying that this one in particular.
Anna Bryniarski, you heard it here first. Anna Bryniarski doesn't believe that a phone Elder Scrolls game can be mainline because it's on a phone.
That's okay, I agree.
Bryniarski's opinion.
I agree.
It took money from me, and by that I mean I willingly gave Bethesda my money.
As opposed to all those other Elder Scrolls games.
As opposed to all the times where Todd Howard broke into your house and stole your money.
No, yeah. More like Santa. Todd Howard broke into your house and left you Skyrim.
A copy of Skyrim.
I started playing Skyrim in 2022, like the very end of 2022, and since then I cannot stop getting copies of Skyrim from Todd Howard. He won't stop.
This must be what it's like to own Mario Kart 8 as well.
Yeah.
But there's also Skyrim Online. Jeez. Oh, Elder Scrolls Online, which I've played a little bit of and didn't. I don't like MMOs, so I didn't have a great time.
I mean, because that brings up like Final Fantasy 13.
Yeah.
Like, what is that?
You mean 14?
Is that a main line?
14 you're talking
14.
about?
Or is it 14? It might be thinking of 14. Yeah, but you know what I mean. The MMO one.
And so is Final Fantasy 11. Final Fantasy 11 is also an MMO.
Oh, okay. I can't keep track. And then there's also Final Fantasy X-2. Is that mainline? It features all of the main characters, but like by being a sequel, does that make it not mainline because none of the other Final Fantasies are sequels? And
well, no, that's not true. There's Final Fantasy 13 too, and then there's Final Fantasy 13 Lightning Returns, which is effectively Final Fantasy 13-3.
Lightning strikes twice in the same spot.
So that it is in fact not unprecedented for there to be sequels to specific Final Fantasy games. More than one has done it.
There's an Elder Scrolls game for the N-Gage.
I'm still thinking about what about the Final Fantasy VII remake? Is that a mainline Final Fantasy game? I don't know anymore.
I would be disappointed.
It probably is, though.
It's also funny. I read, I don't know, I think it was...
I can only speak about Mario and Pokemon.
The two game series, you specifically said you don't have enough information to talk about whether you don't know about non-mainline
better to have
games.
An opinion than someone who has no idea what they're talking about.
It was also funny. I was reading an old GameCola article, and it was written by Paul, and it was something like, and this is like the closest thing to a Final Fantasy VII remake we're ever going to get. And it was a Wikipedia link to the page about the word nothing. And I was like, wow, Paul, swing and a miss from a decade ago.
I was listening to an episode of the GCPC. I can't remember what it was, but they were talking about there was discussions of a Final Fantasy VII remake for the PS3. People were legitimately discussing like, oh yeah, there's rumors that they're going to be making a remake of Final Fantasy VII at some point, and that was before the PlayStation 4 had even come out. So people were murmuring about it all the way back then.
Is there a non-mainline Sims game?
Yes, there are.
The Sims busting out for Game Boy Advance.
Search my mind palace.
Let me search my mind palace. Type.
Just so happens that my mind palace is in my computer. There's nothing weird about that.
It's just you just plug a USB
needs to ask
keyboard.
About why typing happens when I go to my mind palace. Okay, so the Wikipedia list of sim video games includes Spore. So that's interesting.
Hold on. No, incorrect.
List of sim video games.
Is it sim video games or Sims video games?
Sim. But it's all Maxis or Electronic Arts. Is what it says. And I'm like...
Let's go with The Sims.
Yeah.
No,
what about mainline The Sims games?
I was just very confused though. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So
okay, I was like,
is my favorite
The Sims
mainline
Online,
The Sims game.
The Sims Bustin' Out, which you did. Oh wow, there was an N-Gage release of The Sims Bustin' Out in 2004.
Wow. And I thought the GBA version was bad.
So it came out for PlayStation 2, GameCube, Xbox, Game Boy Advance, and in 2004 the N-Gage. And then there's The Herbs, Sims in the City, 2004, GameCube, PlayStation 2, Xbox, Game Boy Advance, and Nintendo DS. Those all would definitely be non-mainline. Sims 2 Pets, that definitely is, at least not I'm pretty sure it was an expansion or something close to it.
I want to say that's right,
it was an expansion, but they also had a GameCube, PlayStation 2, Game Boy Advance, Nintendo DS, PlayStation Portable, and in 2007, a Wii release, Sims 2 Castaway.
Okay, I feel like...
There was also The Sims 2 for the Game Boy Advance and the Nintendo DS, which I know for sure are two different games totally. There are also a bunch of, other ones. Wow, The Sims 2 Castaway came out in 2009 for the Windows Phone and the BlackBerry. There's the My Sims games.
Yeah, so there's a lot. I want to make sure Blue gets a chance.
That is everybody's favorite 2011 fantasy game. Sorry, Todd.
Blue, quickly. Blue, quickly talk about some mainline video games or lack thereof, or we'll hear about every single Sims game that ever existed.
You asked about Sims.
I didn't ask for every single one. You did this. I didn't ask you to read the Wikipedia page.
Too bad.
Well, there's Kingdom Hearts. Do we want to talk about Kingdom Hearts?
I don't know if we want to talk about Kingdom Hearts.
I want to talk about Kingdom Hearts.
There's also Clock Tower.
My understanding with Kingdom Hearts is that every game is mainline, no matter what.
That's not true. There was one for the Wonder Swan, I think. And I'm pretty sure that one's not mainline.
Is that my understanding was that every game was mainline. Every game includes an important piece of lore that is fundamental to understanding the story, but maybe not the Wonder Swan, you're saying?
I think that one did not have...
But there's
like a unique dialogue of some sort, but I don't think it was crucial to the lore.
There's like a rhythm game, isn't there? That's like...
Well, that's Melody of Memory. It's one of the newest ones. I haven't played it yet.
But like, as far as I know, it's like incredibly important to the lore. Like, not in you can't understand the series without it, but like it drastically, canonically changes a lot of things. I don't know enough about Kingdom Hearts to know. The only things I know about Kingdom Hearts are Xehanort, Aqua gets Norded, and Sora, Donald, Goofy.
I zoned out and then heard Norded and I went, what the heck?
Those are the things I know. Oh, and Kingdom Hearts, 3.9 or something?
Oh, yeah, Kingdom Hearts 2.
No,
yeah,
3.
With the gag that they do, call it Kingdom Hearts 2.9.
Oh, okay.
That's very good.
Is it 3? Is 3 the main numbered one now?
Yes.
I can't keep track of all these numbers, guys. Video games have too many numbers.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like video
Especially
games stick
Kingdom
with
Hearts
numbers
games.
Longer.
Stop numbers.
The thing is, with the Kingdom Hearts games, sometimes they intermix Roman numerals and regular Arabic numerals. Like 2.8 and 2.9 are the Roman numeral 2 decimal point, the Arabic number 8 or 9. And it's awful.
How many? What are the mainline clock tower games, Blue? What's the criteria for being a mainline clock tower game?
Okay, so the very first clock tower originally didn't release in the Northwest,
Mm-hmm.
And then...
And back then it was called Doki Tower Panic.
No, it was not. But Clock Tower 2 in Japan was released as Clock Tower in America. And then there was Clock Tower Ghost Head, which was, I guess, not a mainline game because it was a spin-off, I guess.
But, what made it a spin-off compared to other Clock Tower games? That's
the
thing.
I don't know.
What makes something
Honestly,
a spin-off versus
I'm
mainline?
not really sure. It didn't have the main character and, it focused on a new set of characters, but then so did Clock Tower 3, which is the 4th game.
Video games.
I don't know. Mm-hmm. It's a mess.
I've got a couple more from the GameCola Discord. John Rizzi, friend of the podcast by virtue of being on it many times, and a member of GameCola staff,
I guess,
suggests Resident Evil ... 0.
James, tell us about that.
I've never played Resident Evil 0, and I know very little about it, aside from the fact... Yeah, I know not much about it, aside from the fact that the way you manage your inventory is weird, because they don't have item boxes that, will hold your... that you can access from various different places, and they bring your items along with you. You actually have to, put your items down on the ground when you run out of inventory space, and that means if you want to get them back, you have to go back to that location, and that largely because of that design decision, it's kind of awful.
Wow.
That's a good point.
Why did
it's
they make that decision?
You can... Sometimes a game becomes un-mainlined or never becomes mainlined because it's just not good, and people don't want it to be mainline. They want to ignore it. I think
that's what happened with Sonic 4.
Yeah, I mean, like, basically, like, you can be such a bad video game that you fail to become mainline. Even though, like, that really... You wouldn't think that would be a criteria, but, like, it definitely is. Like... There's a substantial number of people who don't want to consider Sonic 06 mainline just because they think it's a bad video game. And they'll use other arguments of like, oh, well, the timeline reset. Oh, well, like, the style didn't continue from there. But it was like, they just thought it was a bad video game, and they want to kind of pretend it didn't happen. That we went straight from Shadow the Hedgehog to more Shadow the Hedgehog. Actually, less Shadow the Hedgehog for a while. But then he came back. Somehow, Shadow returned. I got one more from the Discord from Grizzled Bob, who you might recognize as an axe-wielding attorney-adjacent person. Monster Hunter Now, lol. I'm just going to read this all out because I don't know enough about Monster Hunter. For context, I almost said Monster Hunter Stories, which is a turn-based RPG where you befriend monsters like Pokemon meets How to Train Your Dragon. But it makes sense that not everyone in that universe handles monsters the same way, especially after Wilds. Plus, picking the Cash Grab mobile app is funnier and more accurate. Some more mobile app slander. I do think that, like, there was another one, like Super Mario Run, which is the Mario mobile game, I think is probably a good contender for a mobile entry in an otherwise pretty non-mobile video game series. But yeah, Monster Hunter Stories, just from seeing it, I wouldn't think it's really mainline. Right? It kind of feels more like Pokemon Ranger, where it's like, yeah, in Pokemon Ranger, they like kind of say like, oh, well, this is a place in the Pokemon world where people, don't use Pokeballs, they use tops with laser trails behind them. Like you do. You Beyblade the Pokemon until they like you.
They're called styluses, I believe.
I don't think that's true. I think that's the actual extant thing you use to touch the touch screen.
What was it called then?
I don't remember. It did have a funny name.
It did have a name similar to that. I don't know.
But Monster Hunter Stories, from what I've seen, feels kind of like that. Does anybody else have any thoughts?
I don't know
Thoughts
anything about Monster Hunter.
Not about Monster Hunter,
therefore I do not am.
It's Capture Styler.
Okay, I was really close.
No, but you were wrong. That's what's important.
There was the word style, I think. I think that's right.
Pokemon Style Savvy.
Yeah.
That's Pokemon
Whoa,
XY.
Wait, that's not one that I even thought about. All the games are mainline. Every single one.
Does anybody else have any final thoughts on mainline video games?
I think we should have zigzag line video games just for fun.
I prefer main lemons.
Whoa.
That's a stretch.
Zesty.
All right, Blue. I think it's time for you to tell us about how video games have ruined your life.
Well, it was just very specific recently. It was another blow against me after the Wonder Woman debacle. The people who were making the Black Panther game, that got canceled and their studio got shut down. And it's interesting because it was some of the people from the same Monolith, I believe, was the original team, that the people working on Wonder Woman were from there too. So it was two separate groups of refugees, of dead company, and now they got the same treatment. And so Wonder Woman and Black Panther are both canceled, but so far the Iron Man game is still there. So I don't know. The game with the white man has survived, and I'm sure it doesn't mean anything, but
never.
That is a fact.
It never means anything. It's fine.
It does kind of seem like Warner Bros. Just doesn't want to make video games.
Yeah, but this one wasn't Warner Brothers, so I can't blame them.
I remember they were responsible
it was Marvel,
last time.
But it was EA, so it's not like they're that much further down on the list than...
Are there non-mainline FIFA games?
No,
they're all
maybe if
all
they made
soccer
one for the
is canon.
N-Gage.
All soccer is canon.
All soccer is canon. All football is canon.
Mm-hmm.
Sports, always canon.
Are we ready to talk about games we've been playing in recent time? Only mainline video games we've been playing in recent times. Unless you've played a video game that isn't mainline, and then you can also talk about that.
Talk about it.
Anna, I want to know what video games you've been playing.
Oh
all brand new ones, right?
I would never play a brand new game. I'm just like Jenny. Just kidding.
No, I think you play video games that you like every once in a while.
I do. Oh, yeah. So I've gotten back into Skyrim again, where I restarted the game. I am playing as a magic person, but unfortunately, I went back into my old ways and ended up being a stealth archer too. Again. Because it's impossible not to be.
Couldn't you have been a stealth spell
Well, okay, so you can do conjuration stuff, which a lot of it is like necromancy, but you can also conjure weapons.
I mean, I feel like it's pretty easy to sneak up on dead people.
It's very easy to sneak up on dead people with other dead people. But I actually did do that a lot, where I've been conjuring weapons, mostly a bow, to continue being a stealth archer.
So you just become stealth archer.
Basically, yeah. And I think that's perfect for me. Otherwise, I have also been playing Balatro a lot on my phone, so we can say that I do like phone games.
Mm-hmm.
Phone games are fine. It's just Elder Scrolls Castles that sucks.
That's the only bad mobile game. You heard it here first. The only mobile game that Anna thinks is bad is that Castle Elder Scrolls game.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said.
I don't think Balatro is a quite famous video game now, I think, but maybe not. I don't know how it's very famous within the kind of circles where you would listen to a video game podcast, perhaps. But
yeah.
I don't think it's been formally introduced on the podcast.
Has it not?
I don't know. Quick summary, if for anyone who's not familiar.
It's a game.
Okay, I gathered that much.
It's roguelike poker, I think.
Yeah, it's roguelike poker. That's a pretty good way to put it. Yeah,
poker,
you use different poker hands to win, to keep going up per level, and you can improve your deck. You can get jokers that give you different boons, and you can also get more cards, and you can also level up the hands that you play. Sir Black actually was the one who first talked about it to me, and then my cousin, who I stole video games from as a child, over Christmas told me to try it because I kept playing Solitaire, and he was like, hey, you might actually like this game. So I did. And I'm now playing it constantly. Again.
But not on the podcast, though, right?
No, I'm just changing my screen protector on the podcast right now. Trying to be quiet about it. But otherwise, Traveler's Rest had a recent update, which I've been playing slightly. But now you can have more pets, which is real cool. And also I tried Crusader Kings 3 today and was bad at it. So yeah, that's where I'm at today.
Is Traveler's Quest kind of like a...
Oh, sorry. Traveler's Rest is like...
A rest, not quest.
Yeah. It's like a tavern running Stardew Valley-esque type game.
It's a Little Dragons Cafe-like?
Little bit, but I actually played more of it because I didn't hate how it looked immediately out the gate.
Do you find that to be the case with a lot of tavern-type games?
I typically like those games. Little Dragon Cafe, I played 2 seconds of it, and I went, I can't keep looking at this.
Well, you don't need to play it. Jetty has already given all relevant details of Little Dragons Cafe.
He sure has. When my friend bought my Switch from me, I gave it to her, because I was like, do you want this? She doesn't play a lot of video games, so I was just like, hey, how about this one?
You put this video game on this unsuspecting friend.
My best friend of 20 years.
You have bad taste, right?
Whoa.
You won't. My body, my throat. I'm dying. No.
You won't realize you don't know enough about good video games to know that this is a bad video game, right?
No, I went, hey, I'm never gonna play this. Do you want it? And I kind of just made her take it. I ruined my longest friendship of 20 years by giving her this game that I could not play.
Is that all the video games you've played in recent times?
I've played Sims here and there. I keep quitting though because it keeps being weird because Sims is broken. It's just broken. It always has been and always will be.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever heard a good thing about the video game Sims. Just things that must be good for other things that I hear about it to be true, like the number of people who play it. Yeah. Right? There are a lot of people who play The Sims a lot. So I believe it must be a good video game, but the people who play The Sims never tell you about the good things about the video game. They only tell you the bad things.
I will say, and this is more Skyrim related, I have always known that Skyrim is a broken game. And I've definitely had issues here and there with it, but I had like the worst experience I've ever had playing Skyrim a few days ago, where I was really like, oh no, it has been 14 years and this game is still so broken.
Well, didn't you know the more copies you buy of it or are left by Todd Howard when he breaks into your house, the more broken it gets?
Oh my gosh!
They don't fix it with all the updates.
That's why just make Dragon it worse. Bones. So when you kill a dragon, it becomes bones. And
like
they
you
keep
do.
Attacking in front of my home, and I just had full dead dragons, just hanging out, basically in my front lawn.
I mean, on brand.
And usually they disappear.
People will be like, I wonder where the Dragonborn lives. Maybe it's the house with all of the rotting dragon skeletons.
Yeah, usually after a while they'll disappear, but instead it just spawned like a normal dragon and it's just dead. It's like, what? But yeah, that's what I've been doing.
Blue.
Me.
Ryder.
Me.
What video games have you been playing in recent times?
Just last night I got 100% in Lorelei and the Laser Eyes.
Lorelei and the Laser Eyes?
Yeah.
Both of them at the same time?
Possibly.
So you're gonna need
or
to
maybe
explain
all
this
three.
video game. Yeah, I could see what you mean. Well, I mean, or 4. Like, how many eyes? 5? How many eyes
3.
are there?
The third eye hears all.
Interesting.
Oh.
Tell me more about this video game. That definitely makes sense.
Well, it's a very stylistic, artsy puzzle game. It's basically Resident Evil without any combat. You just go around and do a bunch of puzzles and Metroidvania solve it all to get new parts of your big mansion or big hotel unlocked.
Ooh.
And it's like a one giant escape room, and it's very good. And I think you should all play it. Thanks.
That sounds very interesting, actually.
How scary is it?
Not very. There is, I mean, the vibes are interesting. I don't think it's scary. There are certain points in the game where there's tension and stuff, but I don't think I would call it scary at all.
Does a monster get you?
No.
If you play the video game wrong.
No. Well,
I don't like the sound of that well.
there are very specific points where you will be asked a question, and if you do not answer it properly, you will be punished.
Oh.
But it's not like a jump scare or being chased or any... Well, there's...
Another well.
Yeah, I keep remembering things. There is a part where you get slowly chased by a floating something. But then he just asks you a question.
You're not doing a very good job of convincing me this game isn't scary, Blue.
It was fun. It was very nice to... There's always something to go figure out, and then you can come back and be like, oh, I get this puzzle now, or you'll have more information, and it's cool how it all opens up and stuff.
What's this called again? I want to look it up.
Lorelei and the Laser Eyes. Lorelei and the Laser Eyes.
Interesting. I'm going to check this out.
Speaking of checking video games out, James.
Yes.
Did you finish your homework?
So, actually, I remembered that... I don't remember what my homework was. But...
It was only one podcast ago, James.
It involved playing the 100 line, Last Defense Academy. And I remembered that I, in fact, did get an ending, besides the first one. I had forgotten before the podcast. I was thinking I hadn't made any progress, but in fact I did. It was sort of a lame ending. It was a little bit of like, you made the wrong decision here, but it felt like the right decision to make, and it just turned into, oh no, something mysterious happened. How did this occur? And then if you take the alternate route in that, which, is like, oh, this feels like a bad decision to make, then you actually continue on and discover, oh, this is how... This is what caused me to lose in the previous route that I took. So technically it was an ending, though. But
that sounds like 3 total endings, because you did one ending from the last podcast, and then you did a second ending that was a bad ending that you didn't expect, and then it sounds like you went the other way and got a different
ending. And I'm still
ending.
on that route.
Oh, okay. So
I have not finished that route because it appears to be very long.
So they weren't evenly
it took me 20 something. Just to be clear, it took me about 20 to 25 hours to do the first ending. It so far feels like it's gonna take about 10 plus hours for each subsequent ending, of which there are 99, or I guess now 98 more to go. I am concerned that this game is not conceivable to be finished by any one person who is actually reading for content.
Yeah, but James, I did tell you to beat all 100 endings before the next podcast.
Oh, was that my homework?
And you agreed.
I'm sorry.
It's been a rough month.
Blood. It's been a rough month.
Look, if you had applied for an extension, that would have been one thing. But you can't just show up to class and not having done the homework and expect not to get... Look, If you can get it by next podcast, I'll give you 50% credit, okay?
Okay.
As someone who did not do their homework,
I'll try, and by that I mean
true.
no. It is inconceivable. Like, honestly, I will die. I just won't show up for any. That's what I'll do. Is I just
James
won't
comes
be
back
on
on a podcast 10 years later.
Yeah, and I'll be like, "Hey, I finished my homework."
And everyone's like,
I now have 7,000 hours clocked in this game. But it's very good. It's just like, it's a lot, and I have definitely been getting a lot of burnout, and I like come back and play the game. Like, I played through the first ending in like I want to say about a week, and since then I've been mostly burnt out on the game and have only really been able to play it further in like, maybe 3 or 4 hours per week since then. But yeah, so that's that game. I have actually played some other games, if I could talk about those as well, unless there's other questions
No, forbidden.
people have about. No?
All
right.
Go ahead. Okay, go ahead.
So I forget if I talked about this on the previous podcast, but I was also playing it then. I've been playing a game called Derail Valley, which is a train simulator, and it's feels pretty realistic. Like, they're not real life trains. You're in a fictional place called Derail Valley, and you're driving fictional types of trains, but that are modeled after actual, the concepts that power actual real locomotives. And you take on various jobs moving freight around in a yard or carrying it from one station to another across this big giant map. And you have to keep in mind, things like weather conditions and stuff, because when it rains, you have less traction on the tracks, and so you can't carry as much. And so I don't have a ton of playtime in it, only about 5.5 hours, but it's been fun, and like, it takes a lot of learning to get used to, but it can be very relaxing. Just kind of something that once you're going and you have everything set up, you can kind of just leave it on in the background and just kind of chill. So that's been fun. And I've also been playing a game that I've owned for years and years, which is called Sanctuary RPG Black Edition, which is a sort of roguelike RPG, but it's all ASCII, like ASCII art. So it's entirely text-based. So like, you see, like, when at the start of battle, you'll see, an enemy will pop up, and it's just this ASCII art depiction of whatever creature it's trying to show you. And then largely the interface is very text-based. Like, you to input commands in battle, you type a number or a letter to pick the action from a menu, and then you hit enter to actually, confirm the action that you're taking. So it's turn-based combat. It's roguelike in the sense that by default the difficulty is permadeath, but you can set it to sort of softcore difficulty to make it so that you just lose all of your money, which is how I'm playing it, because I don't really like permadeath in RPGs, and like, this game is challenging enough to learn that you won't learn if you just keep doing permadeath. The game also seems to have a strange, like, humorous fascination with potatoes. They just randomly throw, like they just randomly reference potatoes in various bits of dialogue or other things like that. Like, one of my character's abilities, because I chose like a barbarian, is like, if you think I'm big, just look how big my potato can get. It's like, or, like in the character, like, lore in some of the story beats, like, someone will, an assassin emerging from a window will come down and slice a potato in front of you. Like, it just throws random mentions of potatoes for some reason. And it's just like it's meant to be humorous, of course. But yeah, it's a very goofy, oddly whimsical game. Challenging though, and I put like an hour or two into that so far. And that's been fun. It's got good music as well, kind of classic 90s computer game synth. Kind of like somewhere between Sega Genesis and PlayStation music, I would say, is sort of the vibe that it's going for. And I think those are all the games of note that I've been playing. I've also been replaying some of my typical games like Kerbal Space Program and a little bit of Subnautica.
Hey Joe, what games have you been playing?
I've been playing a very mainline video game, which is...
Alright, well, no one wants to hear about mainline games anymore. Unfortunately.
Those are so out of style now.
Adventure 2, Battle on the Nintendo GameCube. Specifically a version where all of the characters' dialogue is not timed properly, so they're talking over each other all the time. It's very funny. Good. It is coming off of the heels of the Sonic the Hedgehog movie 3. It was interesting to come back to this and see kind of how much the Shadow the Hedgehog lore has shifted. Like, I completely forgot that at the beginning of the dark story in Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, Shadow, is, awakened, and he's like, Eggman, I will grant you one wish. And you're like, Shadow, what are you talking about? You are not a genie. You do not have the power. This is not, one of your abilities to, grant wishes. And then he's just like, come meet me in outer space. And then they, meet in outer space, then go back to the planet, do a bunch of stuff, and then go back to outer space. Meanwhile, Sonic has to, go find a rocket to get to space for some reason. He's not allowed to just teleport up there. He has to get a very 2000s looking space shuttle. It's also... so much of this video game is not good. You play as... and there's the hero story and the dark story. In the hero story, you play levels as Sonic, levels as Tails, levels as Knuckles. And the dark story, you play as Sonic, levels as Shadow, levels as Rouge, and levels as Eggman. Only the Sonic and Shadow levels are, good. The Knuckles and Rouge levels are, medium bad, I would say. They're just a little too janky and a little too obnoxious to figure out where to... You're searching for these gemstones with, a hot or cold, bleeping, blinking thing. And it's it's not necessarily bad, but it's when I picked up a video game about Sonic the Hedgehog, I didn't want to look around for gemstones. I wanted to go fast. And that's not what I feel like I'm doing, especially in the Tails and Eggman levels where you very decidedly do not go fast. You just hold the B button and then it goes auto target, beep, 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 and you have to wiggle the control stick to hopefully get it to point at the correct enemies, and then you let go of the B button and it's oh, boom, 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 oh, look, you got a combo. And it's this isn't fun. I'm just walking around to a spot, wiggling the control stick until all the squares go on all the enemies, and then moving forward. And this is more than 2/3 of the game. It is exactly 2/3 of the levels, but also because in the Sonic and Shadow levels you go fast, you spend less time playing those levels. So in the course of actually just playing through the main story of these games, you spend very little time playing as Sonic or Shadow the Hedgehog. But once you finish that, you can go back and replay levels with extra bonus things of try to collect 100 rings as fast as possible and stuff like that, or just try to get A rank on the level, right? Play it fast enough and earn enough points to get A rank. And I feel once you get to that level, you can just play the Sonic and Shadow levels over and over again and not have to think about any of the other levels if you don't want to. And I bet that the Knuckles and Rouge levels are a little more fun when it's not when it's something that you're choosing versus a barrier to playing more Sonic the Hedgehog levels. I can't really imagine the Tails and Eggman levels where you're in the giant robot suits hovering around slowly, trying to make your square point at certain things arbitrarily. But that was an interesting experience. I've had this game for a while, but I think I got near the end and never quite finished it, and I knew how it ended. But it was fun to. I mean, the last level was not fun because they make you play all the characters in a row, and they start you with the worst characters, and then also do that thing where it's like, oh, here we're introducing like brand new mechanics in an environment where if you don't learn them enough times with the amount of lives you have to start over with like several levels back all of a sudden, which is like a new thing that you didn't have to worry about before. Also, I didn't like that a whole lot. It was not a fun experience to have to replay the Tails and Eggman levels over and over again. But the Sonic and Shadow levels are good to very good, I would say. And obviously the Chow Garden. I didn't do much with the Chow Garden because I was just trying to get to the end for the most part. But obviously a big selling point for this game is sort of like a longer term, like owning, like if you've had this video game for a long time and played it as a kid, like there's a lot of time you can invest in that, and that's good. It was also part of, thinking about that game is also part of what spurned, I don't know words, made me think about the mainline idea a little bit. We've kind of come full circle, haven't we?
Yeah.
How did you feel about all those things I said about Sonic the Hedgehog, guys?
Sounds... I don't think I would want to play that game.
Well, you said it wasn't fun because you had to do this thing and also you wanted to go fast. Maybe you should have done the thing faster, Joe.
That's the problem. You can't go fast in the other ones. The other levels aren't about going fast. I mean, like, you're supposed to try to complete them fast.
It sounds like you are making excuses for how slow you went.
I see the argument there for the Knuckles and Rouge levels. I promise you, you look at the Tails and Eggman's levels, there is no way to go fast. There are ways to go faster. There is no way to go fast.
I've seen some speedruns, and so I actually, yeah, you're kind of right. They're not fast.
Yeah, no, even in the speedruns, you don't go that fast in the Tails and Eggman levels.
It's mainly just blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, it's just beep, 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 beep. And they go fast in the Knuckles and Rouge levels because they played them in a way where they know where all of the things are. All of the hidden things, which I feel like kind of defeats the purpose.
Maybe you should have found the hidden things.
Anna, I didn't think about that. In fact, I'm going to go do that right now as we end this episode of the Mainline GameCola Podcast.
Wow.
This one counts. There's actually some questions about the Mainline GameCola Podcast. There's some edge cases, right? There's the J episodes for April Fool's Day. Are those mainline?
No, they're all mainline. Don't even ask questions. They're all mainline.
Even episode 49?
Yeah.
Even the off-topic podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah, go back and listen to everybody. That's my challenge to you. Go back and listen to episode 49 of the GameCola Podcast and tell me if you think it's mainline.
I think I did listen to that one recently, but I forget.
The fact that you've forgotten about it is probably related to the qualities that it has. Just like the Sonic 4. No, I think episode 49 is a better podcast than Sonic 4 is a video game, if that makes sense.
Well, that's good at least.
You will enjoy your time with 49 more, I think. And it's free, so. But thank you for listening to this episode of the GameCola Podcast 190. If you like what you heard, please check us out on our actual internet website, GameCola.net. You can even search there. You can search like the GameCola Podcast, app number 49, and it'll show up on GameCola.net. It'll probably take you to the article.
It's you could pronounced also Crystallis.
Yeah. Am I thinking of the right episode? Maybe it's 48.
Maybe you're not. You mean 48 uncut?
I think I might mean 48.
Yeah, I was going to say, I remember listening to 49, and it was great. It was a good episode of the GameCola Podcast.
Well, you can also listen to 49. It's a good episode, but I think
it's a good one. But right. Yeah, 48, I think, is what you mean.
Yeah, I know it was close to 50, because there's a funny juxtaposition of 50 and 48. You can listen to both. You can listen to them on the YouTube channel, GCDotNet. The letter G, the letter C, the word dot, the word net. The podcasts are also there. Also, we will be wrapping up. I think when this podcast comes out, we'll be soon wrapping up or just have wrapped up Dragon Warrior 2.
Yep, it'll be close. I think we go like as of posting this, so there'll be one going up tomorrow from when we're recording this, and then there may be one more. So yeah, so when you hear this, there may be one more episode to go.
Yeah, so now's a great time to catch up. Everybody seems to be jumping on board on this most recent episode. I don't know if you've been watching the metrics, James.
Oh, I have not. I'll have to look at those.
It's just getting suggested to a bunch of people, and everyone's like, wow, episode 28 of this Dragon Warrior 2 playthrough? I gotta check this out.
This is what we've been waiting for.
Yeah.
You know that new sound you're looking for?
Well, listen to this.
And it's just Jetty doing a very bad accent. You can also find, wherever you get podcasts, you can find the GameCola Podcast. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, weird Google, like, directory lists that we somehow end up on. I don't know how that works. They find our RSS feed. I'm on Blue Sky. I need to convince Jetty to put us on Blue Sky, just so that I have something to say in place of the place we used to say Twitter. You can email us at podcast@gamecola.net. You can, if you want to influence the podcast, you can come to the Discord. If you go to the website, gamecola.net, or you check the YouTube description, you'll see a link to get to the GameCola Discord. It's a fun time, and we might talk to you about podcast things, and you might even get some words that you typed read on the podcast.
Oh.
Be our friend.
But not in a parasocial way.
No.
Yeah. Only in a social way.
Unless we're already friends, then we can continue to be friends.
No, if you're on the GameCola Discord, you're no longer allowed to be friends. You have to be.
Your days are numbered as friends.
You have to be business professionals. Business professional colleagues. Acquaintances at best.
Sorry, Benny.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the GameCola Podcast. Have a wonderful time of day, wherever it is, whenever it is you are listening to this podcast, and we will see you next month. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Holding in that last cough to the very end.
I was going to say, I only heard two of us say goodbye.
My brain broke. I don't know why.
I couldn't tell if I just like cut out because people were saying bye at the same time, or if Blue didn't say bye. But don't worry, I'll include this bit in the coda, and then people will know that you intended to say bye.
Yeah.